Call this meeting to order. Whereas there is a quorum of council present at the time of 6 p.m., be it resolved this regular meeting be open for business and the minutes of be open for business at the Madison District Community Center and Arena, and at the minutes of the regular meeting October 28, 2020 be approved. Pat, will you move it there?
I will move.
Charlie, second.
Yes, I will.
All in favor? Carried. I'd like to start this meeting with an apology. I'd like to start by apologizing to all ratepayers of this municipality. I stood up in front of you in the same building and told you that I am here to work for all ratepayers, and I let you down. What I found out about this exercise, the truth will never hurt you. I also want to apologize to council. The reading of reports is so important when you are making decisions about any subject, and I got my name in the media for reading all. This drain was dug 48 years ago, and it was one of the most important drains in those days. Creeks started to be changed to drains, and this practice went on for more than 10 years. 5 or more councils were involved, and culverts were added downstream, all to please people. Now this same drain is important again. We are combining drains by using lakes and creeks to do so, which is something new for this municipality. And I wish somebody could find for me that these practices are going on elsewhere. The first culvert after 48 years being paid for is also a first for this municipality. One can say this will never happen again, but with council changing, the practice is on the books. The maps also show on this report where we take a few acres of Lot 18 and put it onto McGregor Drain. Lot 18 on the west side butts up against the McKee Drain. Is that council's intention of joining the future of this drain to the McKee Drain to make one mega drain? Because the report also shows we took a few acres of Bracken property to the east for some reason also. I want to apologize to Ann. You and Ruth have nothing to do with this drains, and I apologize to you even before this got out of control. I am apologizing in public again. I also want to thank you. After I told you my personal severances were denied because I didn't meet the conditions in the time set out, and I had to start the process over again. When you told me that you wondered why these were not done on this lot, which is the start of this whole exercise, was news that I wanted to hear. I still remember John McGregor, who was on council, saying to me, "Do you plan on finishing the severances this time if we grant it?" I want to also apologize to Kim. This exercise has went ways that nobody would have dreamed of. I want to thank you. I have learned so much about drains and severances that residents need to know my side of the story, which they should, because I'm wearing this now. There's one thing that I still need to find out if it's true. Our councillor is being told not to talk to ratepayers that voted them in to represent their interest about this drain. I apologize for what went on there, and I hope to gain your confidence again there in regards to this municipality. With that said there, I got a conflict in the first delegation there, and Mr. Krabs is not here. Is Mr. Casimir or Tom, you want to speak or what?
Did Harold not call you and tell you that he wanted to defer?
He called and left a message that he wouldn't be at tonight's meeting.
Yeah, that he wouldn't be able to make tonight's meeting. He wanted to defer this to a later date.
Yeah. He wasn't sure about Mr. Burns though. That's what he had said on the phone.
Yeah.
No, I'm not prepared. I just found out about it 5 minutes ago.
Okay, that's all right there. Mr. Stinson?
Yeah,
You got a concern there tonight?
well, I got lots of them. I I get you back in shape here again. I was here on October the 14th for the meeting. Now I'm coming here, it's not just for me, it's a group of us. So if you want 10, 15 people coming in with the same questions, fine and dandy. Okay, the drain in Webwood on the First Street, what happened to there? What was...
Public Works is supposed to get in
Looking
touch
into
with
it.
you.
Pardon me?
Public Works is looking into it.
Yep,
They're working with Mr. Maitland,
Yeah, Billy, yeah.
and that's all we know.
yep.
Oh,
It's in Jacques' hands.
Jock. So I gotta find out from Jock then.
No, you don't have to find out, no problem.
Hey? Well, I wanna know.
Well,
You're
when
getting
you'll
your-
see when you're there with
Yeah.
the excavator, then.
Oh, well, that's good. That'll really be something, because it sure needs it. Okay. Bylaw enforcement guy you hired. What, did you just put it up for bid or tender or anything, or just, boop? Like, or do you think he's really qualified because of the dog catcher, like to do the property standards?
Eldon,
Yeah.
the man has qualifications. He's a bylaw enforcement officer.
For public, for everything?
Not just the dog catcher.
Oh, okay.
We reviewed his qualifications. I mean,
So it wasn't up to bid like somebody else could bid on?
It was sent out,
Was
and a lot
it-
of other people had a chance to bid on it.
yeah.
Oh, it was in the round and about?
No, I think it was in some other,
Because normally you just put that in there.
well, it was in some other papers.
Now, is he full-time or is it seasonal or what? Like
It's a part-time job.
part-time, so the winter time, no?
No, it's not winter, summer, it's just not a
As-
full
as
40-hour
needed.
job.
Hey,
As needed.
as needed?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's got a probation period? Like if he doesn't do, like
No,
what
it's
happened
just a
to?
contract.
Hey?
It's just a year's contract.
Oh,
He's not an employee of
He's
the
not an
township.
employee of the town.
he's not an
Hired.
employee?
No,
No,
he's
no.
hired on a
We hired
contract.
him to do the job for us.
Yeah, well, he's an employee, you usually
No.
hire him.
No.
He's on a contract.
Well, the same thing, you usually
Not-
paying them.
it's not quite-
Usually paying them.
Yeah, but it's not
You
quite.
just don't figure that out. Okay, now, is he going to just sit in his office like the other ones did? And then you got to put a complaint in and nothing done about it?
He doesn't have an office.
He doesn't.
He doesn't
So how is he going to operate?
out of his vehicle.
Oh, jeepers,
Well, he
Murphy.
has an office in Sudbury.
Yeah,
You're
but-
asking us questions we don't really know the answer
Well,
to.
why don't you bring the facts down? If I'm asking questions, you should know about that because she's hired him.
People
We
will
did
still
hire
be
him, and
calling.
he's doing his job the way we asked him to do his job, and that's all there is to it.
You just call the township. You don't have to worry about calling him. You can
No,
call the
he has
township
no
directly.
yeah.
Now,
It's that easy.
it's back again, this parking tickets for the winter. Like, that will be his job? Like from 2 to 8 in the morning at night? For people parking for snow plowing? Is that his job?
No.
To give tickets? Whose
No,
job?
we hired him to do property standards. We didn't hire him as a
So
bylaw
who
enforcement.
gives the tickets out at nighttime?
You gonna let me talk, Eldon?
Pardon me?
Are you gonna let me talk?
Yeah.
Listen.
I can't hear you, I gotta get closer.
Sorry, we hired him as a property standards officer.
Yeah,
So he's gonna patrol, if there's any reports of bad property standards, he'll approach the people, tell them what they have to do, etc. He's not a blanket bylaw enforcement officer for the township. So it's got nothing to do with parking tickets.
okay, who is doing it now?
That's a, well, I.
Nobody.
Nobody.
Because
Now we don't have it.
you must have been by that house they went with on Young Street and
Oh, I
stuff.
know. Well-
That's parked out there now, he should be tagged, he should be tagged.
That's gonna be.
That's one lane traffic there now.
It's on the list.
Yep, it's there.
So you're gonna still have to put a complaint in with him, like,
No, with the office.
The office.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
You
Now,
don't deal with him.
okay, what's the use? I put one in June, and it's still the same by my place. And you've got all kinds of comments since last summer about that 16 Young Street, and it's worse now. Well,
Well-
why wouldn't something down at my place and down there? Like, why?
Because we just hired somebody
Well,
else.
that don't matter. You could have brought the fire chief into that house down there with all that combustible material. It just, the yard is full. It's full. You could have brought the fire chief in. He could have made them clean it up.
Okay,
Like, same
okay,
as-
Eldon, we know your concern there. Could you go
Well,
on there to the next one? there?
Have you seen it down? I know you
Yes,
haven't been around.
I have there, Eldon.
When did you down? When did you go down to Webwood?
Well, I thought you'd be here in regards to your lanes there, because your lanes are total
Oh, no,
disaster. I
no,
was
no,
through there
no,
last
no,
week.
this is, you're way behind, you're a year behind.
Yep.
Eldon, I was there 3 days ago and took pictures and everything.
Yeah, well, nothing done though.
So, yeah, but
It doesn't
give us a
happen.
chance, give us a chance.
We hired the guy a week
We've
ago.
been in and out
Like I
of.
said, for that situation there, you couldn't, fire chief could have been in and condemned it. Made them
It's
clean
not
it
his
up.
job. It's not his job.
Yeah, but it's all combustible material.
It's not his job.
Oh, you don't. Okay, here we go. We got that straightened out. Trailers and sea cans. I called Espanola, and they do not have them, they allow them in Espanola. I got a friend in Sudbury, he called, Sudbury don't allow them. So I got another guy that lives out of Sudbury in one of the wards. He says they do, some of them do, they have permission, but it's very, very heavy. They got to be so away, not interfere with other people's property, and then they got, I think they charge, I think it's $1.50 tax on them a year. But he said they got real heavy stipulations if they're going to give them a permit on them to have them. Now, how many permits did you get? It's 17 months since you put that in the round and about. You got to have a permit for sea cans and trailers. How many permits did you get in 17 months? Please tell me how many. You might know. How many did you get?
Why does it matter?
Eh?
Why does
Well,
it matter?
Well, yes, it does. You put in
That's
there.
not what the bylaw was just made though, Eldon. The
Pardon me?
bylaw was made before that.
Yeah, but you put in the-
It was only published then.
I know, but you got no stipulation on your bylaw. Like, you got people had 17 months to apply for a permit. How many did you get? 2, 3? I know you got one in Webwood for sure, Sturdy's. I don't have any more. And there must be about 60 or 70 of them in the township. So why aren't you pushing it? Why? Now, same as the one in Webwood right beside my 2 houses down, you brought that in last year. I think, excuse me, for us there, I think it dropped the value of our property by $25,000. Look, going out the back door and looking at that rusty old thing in the backyard. You know, and he said, I asked him, I said, Rick, I said, I said, the township got its regulations. Oh, I said, I don't care, I can put it there. If they say something to me, I'm going to take them to court. So there's the feelings. So why aren't you pushing them?
Okay, Eldon, we understand there. We'll look into it there. What's your next
Well, look
concern?
into it, Chief Murphy. He's been looking into it. You better get retrained here. And then another thing, now, have you got to have a house to put one beside your house, or can you put them in a vacant lot?
Pardon? I
Eh?
don't get what you're saying.
Okay, I say you got a house. Here's your house.
Yeah.
And you put one here. Now you want to walk beside here. Can you put some in there without a house? Have you got to have a house, a premises to put them on, or you can just fill up a vacant lot with them?
Yeah, but we gotta find out the real, everything there. Did you get a building permit to do it, or what?
Well, they got no building permits. They said nobody buying them. Now, you got a regulation on a vacant lot. You can't build a garage. So here's this place in Webwood. They got 2 trailers. He bought a vacant lot to build a garage for his truck. So township didn't let him build it. I don't blame him. That's a good idea. But he's got 2 trailers on there, and they shouldn't be there, because if you can't build a garage, why can he put 2 trailers on there? Plus he's got 2 sea cans beside his house. So there's 4 units right there, where you should have had building permit for them, nothing, but having them on vacant property. If you can't build a garage on vacant property, why are you allowing them to have those trailers on that vacant property? Nobody knows. I've been telling you. Go check. I know Mike wasn't very good. He was lazy. I was after him.
Okay, Eldon.
But
Never mind.
Okay, and can you give me any more information about these sea cans and trailers? Like, are you gonna push it to get the permits that they're legal, or like, you don't know. I mean, when you put something out like 17 months ago, you need a building permit, but you had nothing behind it. You had nothing behind it, just that paper I brought last time, it says what they were, and at the end it said, need $200 for building permit. So, like, there's nothing in between, there's no stipulations. Can they have one in their yard? Can they have 10? See, use people, most of you live out of the area. Like, you don't have a neighbor within 50, 100, 200 feet. So really, some of these bylaws don't apply to you, but it applies to us that live in town. Like really, there should be more stipulation for the people that live in the areas than the outside. Like,
Okay, Eldon, we understand
you
you.
just keep quiet for a minute, I'm talking. So like I said, there should be something like more, get out.
There is a bylaw coming, Eldon.
Yeah, but it's gotta be
But
when?
we need some bylaw enforcement. You're
Well,
totally right.
honestly, you should have had that all done 17
We
months ago.
shoulda, coulda, woulda, for sure. I
Say you,
totally agree.
basically, you don't understand that when you do something like that, you put that in the paper, you gotta have building permits, well, have the backing, like this and that and that.
Well, it's fine to say, Eldon, but
What?
our building permits work on an honor basis. We don't have somebody that can run around 5 days a week chasing people because they don't have building permits. I mean, sometimes we catch somebody.
But you can see these trailers and these sea cans sticking out
I
there.
know, but no
But
one's
how many
got-
can you have in the yard?
No one's
Like,
got time to run around all
Who?
over the township and look. Who exactly?
now, who hasn't got time?
We don't have another building inspector to do that.
We're short one right now.
Well, I know he is, but he never, Mike didn't do nothing either when he was there.
Okay,
But
okay.
You should have got rid of him. What you should do,
Eldon.
just wait a minute. What you should do to get somebody done, like, police them, like, go and say, are you doing your job? But no, but everybody just sits around, comes to the meeting, gets paid, goes home, gets meeting, like, you gotta push the people. Like, when I'm working as a piper in the construction, I'm pushed to work. If I don't work, I'm gone.
Okay, Eldon, we understand your concern in regards to this.
Are you listening?
Yes, we are. What
Are
else
you gonna
do
do
you have?
something about it?
Drive down the river road, I got a half a dozen, so I know what you're talking about. Anything else, Eldon? for
Oh,
today?
yeah.
It's,
Okay. So I guess they're gonna clean the ditch and
Would
web
you
it so.
mind staying back a little bit there, please?
yeah.
So I can't hear, my ears, I need hearing aids. Anyway, I don't want to get your disease anyway. But, so that ditch, I guess, is going to be getting clean, so you and I don't have to have any more battles out there in the front yard anymore. Isn't that nice?
The water ran last year, right, Eldon?
No, we shoveled it, but the township did not. The year before, you and I had a little episode, 2 episodes we had out there already,
But at least I went out and seen you.
eh? And the language wasn't very good from you either that time. But I just lived and bared it.
Okay, anything else, Eldon, for tonight?
Just wait till I check the list out. Okay, I guess we got everything all settled, so everything, the building permits are going to be out.
Yeah.
The 2 towns are going to be, the place it's going to be cleaned up, and the place that, 31st Street beside me, everything's going to be all nick and tuck.
Eventually.
Sometimes,
But I think the snow's going to
At
cover
some
it
point.
first, though.
That's a process.
Okay.
It's not gonna happen overnight, Ellen.
Yeah, but you say that.
That's all we can say.
Overnight.
Albert,
You know how long I've been fighting with yous about that ditch, and then I must give Kevin credit. He went and got a hold of Billy. Nobody else would before. You fought with me about that. You remember private property, Kevin.
is.
Okay,
Look,
okay.
look at, just listen for a minute. I'm tired of battling. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm gonna book for every meeting. I'll have something for every time, so you're gonna be putting up with it.
Just remember, you can't bring the same thing forward again.
For a year.
You
Okay.
need that one.
Oh, I'll do what I want. And you're gonna listen to me.
Eldon,
Okay.
thank you.
Hey?
Okay, be it resolved that items A1 and C1 contained in consent agenda be adopted. Anybody got any concerns there?
Before we continue, Mr. Gamble, I'd like to remind you that council voted
You
unanimously
can't hear me.
to request your resignation. And we have overwhelming support in the community. Would you comment on that?
No comment, thank you.
Well, as council, we have a motion here. Whereas council has an obligation pursuant to the Occupational Health and Safety Act, RSO 1990, C0.1, to take every precaution reasonable in the circumstances for the protection of staff. And whereas council has deemed the recent actions by the mayor as outlined in the Integrity Commissioner's report dated October 14th, 2020, are both a breach of the township's code of conduct and present a health and safety concern for staff as per resolution 2020-315. And whereas this resolution is specifically intended to provide and implement remedial actions to ensure the proper conduct of Mayor Leslie Gamble in the exercise of his statutory duties and to provide appropriate protection for the municipal staff, in addition to the corrective action detailed in Resolution 2020-315. Be it resolved, in an effort to ensure the protection of staff, Mayor Leslie Gamble will not be permitted unrestricted access to municipal facilities, but will be permitted access in accordance with the following conditions. In the accompaniment of the deputy mayor or their designate, for the purpose of attending council meetings no more than 10 minutes in advance of the commencement of meetings. 3, otherwise to exercise his statutory duties with the advance notice to and subject to the conditions required by council to ensure safety of staff. 4, in no case shall Mayor Leslie Gamble be permitted in attendance alone with staff. And that pursuant to section 12.1.10 of the procedural bylaw and resolutions 2019-08 and 2019-017, Leslie Gamble is hereby removed from all council-appointed committees, including the Manitoulin-Sudbury District Services Board, and that Councillor Kevin Burke is hereby appointed to the Manitoulin-Sudbury District Services Board, effective immediately unless the member municipalities wish to appoint a different second member for the Area 2 jurisdiction, and that council shall revisit these remedial actions after 1 year. And further, that if Leslie Gamble does not agree with this, he may appeal to council by November 30th, 2020 by providing written submissions for consideration by council. I have, can I have a motion to move, a person to move this? Does anybody have any discussion?
I still do, I don't accept your apology. I don't think that apology is gonna cut it less here. I mean, these girls are stressed. You have 2 more years if you're sitting here. The emotional stress that's gonna cause, you have lost the respect of council and community and staff. How does that work in your mind?
In what she just read there, I'm banned from every organization, but it also said I'm entitled there to come to a council meeting there 15 minutes ahead of time. Is that correct there?
I believe it's 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
No more than 10 minutes in advance of the commencement of meetings, and you must be in the accompaniment of the deputy mayor or designate.
I have no problem with that.
We can't go any further. We have no recourse to not accept his.
No,
So we have to go by.
so be it.
So we're putting this motion to
Yeah, I'll do
effect.
it.
Kevin? Can I have a seconder? Pat? All in favor?
So what does that mean there in layman's terms?
You can only come to council meetings and you can only be there for 10 minutes before the meeting.
That's what I read in there when I discussed it was legal.
Sorry?
That's exactly what I read into it there with legal advice there. That's all I'm allowed to do.
So it doesn't bother you that it's going to be 2 years of stress with the staff and council?
I am not commenting on that there.
I do take offense that you implied that we've been told by ratepayers not to, or can't remember exactly what your words were. I can't remember exactly what your words were, but you implied that we were being told not to work with ratepayers or something?
Not
Yeah.
to talk to them?
And nobody has talked to
Yeah,
me about
what is that?
anything like that.
Nobody tells me what to do.
It said there's one thing that I still need to find out to see if it is true.
Well, nobody's talked to me about it, Gus.
Okay, I'm not arguing that there. But when people come to my house there and say what's going on there, I'd like to know the truth.
Well, the truth is, nobody's
No.
approached me. Okay?
What I see are facts. Don't ever go on speculation or gossip or
Hearsay.
anything. The facts are the facts. The apology I heard from you did not include your fellow council people that look to you for leadership, did not include the ratepayers, which look to you for guidance. It only included that you were sorry to the staff, and you should be sorry to the staff. I don't think you included enough people in there, and I think that you have lost the respect of many people.
You know, just historically speaking, if it was an employee that had said what you said, that employee would be dismissed. Is that correct? Do you agree with that or disagree? If an employee had said what you said to the girls, would he not be dismissed?
Depends what it was all about there.
He would be dismissed.
There's
Be
been
no-
Uttering a threat,
No question.
uttering a threat, there has been, and there has been a dismissal. So there's no comment, but yes.
Yeah. Where I work, you don't make threats like that. You're gone. You're gone. And the lesser threats, much lesser threats than that. It's not a proud moment for our township.
Not at all.
The whole township.
Okay, you know where I stand there. So, be it resolved that items A1 and C1 contained in the consent agenda be adopted. Anybody got any concerns there? Susan, you move it there?
Don't have a choice, I guess. No,
Why are you still voting? Excuse me?
We still have to do township business, what else are you gonna do? And it's on a different matter. We're on the regular agenda.
This is absolutely frustrating for us right now, because I don't feel
We
the
still have to
apology
do business.
is
The
valid.
apology doesn't cut it, and
Not at all.
I'm very, very upset that Les is just going on as if nothing's happening here. That's very disturbing.
It is. You're showing everybody that you can do whatever you want and not have to take accountability.
Yeah.
So are we carrying on with the meeting or are we ending it?
to wait for his rebuttal by the 30th.
I will read this, and if you do not agree with this motion, you may appeal to council by November 30th, 2020, by providing written submissions for consideration by council.
So he comes back and he says he doesn't agree. What do we do? What's our recourse then?
We can't do anything.
There must be a higher place that we can
We have to look into
take
it,
it.
but,
Because that's not right. It's not fair. It's not fair to
oh,
our
I
staff.
agree, it's not fair, but.
It's not fair to our staff, it's not
Yeah.
fair to our council, it's not fair to our ratepayers, who are the ones who elected us into office.
Yeah.
They are the ones that elected us in, and we signed a pledge with the code of conduct to act in a certain manner to represent our ratepayers, which we are ratepayers as well. And I do not accept the fact that you can just sit there, and I am being frank and honest, you can just sit there and brush this off. I've apologized. I don't hear any remorse whatsoever in your apology, and that's how I see it. But I am here as a counselor to still continue to represent the ratepayers, and that's that. That's how I feel about that.
It's obvious that the mayor is not going to resign this evening, so we should at least do what we need to get done on this agenda. There's a couple of important things on the agenda, and then
There's business to be done.
there is, yes.
We
Until
can't
we-
grind things to a halt.
Yeah.
It's very
Okay.
unfortunate. I don't know how productive this council's gonna be moving forward.
Yeah.
Our ratepayers are much more important.
We're going to do our best.
That's what we have to do.
But there are a few items on this agenda that need to be taken care of.
Yes, I agree.
Yes.
Much to our.
Okay, be it resolved that items A1 and C1 contained in the consent agenda be adopted there. Susie, move it there.
I'll move it.
Randy, you second it?
Yes.
All in favor? Carried.
Bruce, do you want to do 18?
So I had brought to council my MFOA support for deadline extensions. What that is regarding our asset management plan. We have another deadline coming up in July 2021 that we have to be compliant towards. It involves our levels of service, life cycle framework and stuff. And we have applied for funding, which seems to be taking a long time to even hear if we're gonna receive the funding. So I anticipate we're not gonna hear about that till 2021. We are currently working with PSD, our consultant, on the matter, but MFOA has, as the association, gone and written a letter to the minister and asked if we can have deadlines, because due to COVID-19, the government's extending all kinds of deadlines, so just would give everybody a little bit of breathing room. So I would just like to do a resolution for support in their letter they had sent.
Anybody got any concerns in regards to that? Okay, be it resolved, the Corporation Township of Sables-Spanish River supports the MFOA letter to the Ministry of Infrastructure requesting a one-year extension of deadlines in Reg 588-17, Asset Management Planning for Municipal Infrastructure under the Infrastructure for Jobs and Prosperity Act 2015, so that all municipalities can focus on the immediate needs of the pandemic and engage in municipal asset management planning when challenges are resolved. Pat, Cheryl? All in favor? Carried.
December schedule. The December schedule for council meetings is usually revised due to Christmas holidays, with there being only one regular meeting during the month. This is something administration needs to know ahead of time for public notice requirements and scheduling. This year, the regular meeting dates are December 9th and the 23rd. Our options are to keep the schedule as is, cancel the December 23rd meeting, or cancel both and schedule one in the middle of the month. So I have a resolution that can be finalized with whatever you would like to do for your schedule next month.
But usually there's only one meeting.
Usually there's only one.
I would make a suggestion that we meet on the 16th, which is the Wednesday, which is normally
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. But they could meet on another night if needed.
Yeah.
And that'd be all right with you, Glenda?
Well, it's fine with me, but I'd like to check with Paul, see what his hockey schedule stuff
Yeah,
is like.
okay, well, Mondays is open for Paul.
Okay.
So, but I think that gives us the middle of the month, unless it's just Paul's check.
We have economic development outreach too as well.
I'm not sure, depending on how this meeting goes, we might adjourn the December meeting and start fresh in January.
Usually, the reason I'm saying that is because there's usually 3 meetings that week: library, Parks and Rec, and economic development. So that would make it full.
Yeah.
So
what would be better for office staff, 9th or 16th?
the 9th.
Like, I'm just thinking of how much we have to deal with. Would it be better to deal with it 16th? Or is the 9th going to leave you too far a break in between? I don't think so, but.
No, it's usually pretty quiet.
And then it's over with.
It's pretty, so having it on the 9th,
The 9th?
usually will be just
And the way
fine.
that we're doing accounts
Yeah.
now, we can still continue on with business until January if need be.
Yeah.
Okay.
9th of December is fine. If we
Yeah, I'm
run
good with the
in, if we
9th.
run into something, we'll deal
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
On a related note, it's always been past practice for council to give full-time township staff a day off in lieu of Christmas bonus, and this is something that's always been very much appreciated by all the staff. Again, for scheduling purposes, if council's so inclined, I would suggest December 24th, which is a Thursday. If the Public Works Department has to be out, then it's usually agreed that they would each take another day off when it's acceptable to the department. Sure.
Yeah.
It's always worked out before.
Thank you very much.
Okay, be it resolved, the regular council meeting of December 23rd, 2020 be canceled there. Kevin, you move it there? Susie, seconded?
Second.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, be resolved that in lieu of the Christmas bonus, all permanent full-time employees shall have December 24th, 2020 as a day off with pay. Pat, you move it there? Cheryl, you seconded?
Yes, I will.
Any comment, anybody, or all in favor? Carried.
The next item on the agenda was at the request of Councillor Rivers, who is not present this evening. He had asked to have a updated listing of the township land inventory circulated for review, so if council wants to continue or
Just
defer.
defer it till he's here, I believe it. Be better to defer it till,
Yeah.
to defer it until the hour.
You can defer it.
At the last minute on Friday, when I sent you the agenda, I also circulated the information we received from Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program. They have announced the release of the COVID-19 Resilience Infrastructure stream of that program. It indicates that our municipality's allocation for this is $100,000 with this stream. It's combined with federal provincial funding to be dedicated to local governments across the province. It's used to support public infrastructure defined as tangible capital assets, including any temporary infrastructure related to pandemic response, primarily for public use and/or benefit. And there is attached a listing of all the eligible asset types that would be applicable for this. Further in the correspondence that was provided, it indicates that application materials such as the application forms, the guidelines, assessment, consult forms won't be available to us until the week of November 16th. And the turnaround time for applications to be submitted is December 21st. So it's a very tight deadline.
Yeah.
What I would suggest is that the retrofits, repairs, and upgrades to municipal buildings would fall under the category to make this facility that we are in eligible. This was also subject of an application last year that did not receive approval. But we have the building structural review report that never got followed through with this year. There's capital funds in our budget that was allocated for some of that necessary work, and there may be some necessary work with regards to just the ice surface and maintenance of that.
Yeah.
So what I have done, because we could deal with this again on November 25th, but if we had a preliminary resolution on the 16th when we knew for sure all of the guidelines and we had the application form, we could start getting some of that information together. So I have a resolution that says that we agree in principle to submit an application under this for this facility to provide for the retrofit, repairs, and upgrades, and that the municipal capital budget funds allocated for 2020 will be included in this total project cost, if that's okay with.
Sounds good.
That sounds good, Kim.
Yeah, very good.
But in regards to the clinic there, we never ever did any work downstairs there, and there hasn't been very much upstairs, and the equipment has never been upgraded there since that building was
No.
built there. And we're talking about COVID-19, this would be a prime place to put, that's my,
I would agree with that if it weren't for such a tight time frame to get costs and,
We already have all the information
Something
for the
shelf
arena.
ready, yeah.
I
Due to
think the arenas.
Due to the structural review that was already done, we have all that information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd have to call in an engineer to get the clinic up to date.
I think for
I mean, we
this
can
particular.
certainly work towards whatever council decides, we can,
Well, I think we discussed at Parks and Rec that, like, we have to get moving on that, report, like, we have done nothing on it. And we've got everything in place, what needs to be done, everything, so.
Yeah.
And I think Paul was even going to try and get some people
Quotes.
to come and look at
Paul,
quotes.
I met with Paul and he did review the
And I
quotes and
think-
stuff with me, so.
The clinic, yeah, but I think the arena's in better shape with the tight time frame we have. I think it would be better off doing that.
both buildings needs a major repair there, and this one's farther ahead, I guess.
Well, we can look at the clinic for next year's budget, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that needs a whole, like, it needs a whole report, right?
Yeah, we could always consider, getting an information page ready all about the clinic.
Yeah.
So that we're, if something comes forward again, then we'd be ready for it.
Exactly.
Which I imagine there will be in 2021 there in regards to this whole idea.
Yeah, it's gonna continue.
Okay, be it resolved that we agree in principle to submit an application on an investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, COVID-19 Resistance Infrastructure Stream for the Massey District Community Center and Arena to provide for retrofits, repairs, and upgrades to this municipal facility. That the municipal capital budget funds allocated for 2020 shall be included in this total project cost.
I'll move it.
I'll second.
Any other questions, concerns? All in favor? Carried.
The registered practical nurse that was hired at the Mass Medical Clinic is completing her 6-month probationary period. The medical clinic manager, together with the medical team, have given her a very successful review with regards to her probationary period. And I have a resolution for council to accept that report that was submitted and accept her as a full-time employee.
In regards to the flu shots there, you can go to the drugstore and you can get your flu shot there, but there's individuals went to the clinic you couldn't get it because it wasn't a doctor or the nurse practitioner the other day. Is there a reason there that the registered nurse can't?
Yeah, she's giving them to.
Yeah, you go by appointment only.
Yeah, they both had appointments, and she told them, no, you can't get it because there was no doctor or a nurse practitioner in the building.
You probably need to have one in the building.
There has to be one in
In
the
case there's
building
any
in case there's
reactions.
allergic.
Yeah.
Because you have to stay 15 minutes after your shot.
But-
After your needle to make sure you don't have an allergic reaction. And that's, when I went, the doctor was there, so.
Well, I realize that, but you can go to Independent and sit there and,
Well,
Yeah,
That's
but
what I was wondering.
this isn't
yeah, but
independent, this
there's
is
a
the-
pharmacist though, that's why.
Yeah.
Under the clinic
They probably have
guidelines, you
three.
have to have, it's a delegated task, and the flu shot is delegated to the RPN to do. So if there's no doctor in there, then she cannot do it without that.
But in the case of shots being given at a pharmacy,
They are-
it's because there's a pharmacist there and they are
Yes.
qualified for them.
Yeah. They're trained, right?
Yeah.
Do we need to move this?
okay, be it resolved that Melanie has successfully completed her probationary period and is hereby deemed as a permanent full-time employee. All in favor?
I'll second.
You'll second it, move it there? Susan? Linda?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Gary? Okay, be it resolved at the time of 6:47,
Are you closing?
is there anything else there?
I just wanted to bring up the idea of thinking about hiring a bylaw enforcement officer, because why have all these bylaws? And Alden's right, you know, we need somebody to enforce them, so I think we need to advertise, decide what we're looking for, and put an advertisement out for when.
When it was time to renew the animal control contract with Winrick Kennels, at that time, they had also made a proposal to council for full bylaw enforcement services, including the property standards that you have just recently accepted. And I believe that that encompassed the zoning bylaw, the parking bylaw, property standards bylaw, and I don't believe it was that much more than what it would be just for the one.
So you're saying that we can request him to do our bylaw enforcing for the duration of the contract for a little few more bucks more
At an extra cost.
at an extra cost?
I can bring further information to the next
Yeah.
meeting if you'd like.
Yeah.
So
They
do,
They
The
do
thing is-
encompass all of that.
The thing
Yeah,
is,
we need to get on it, for sure.
and I mean, you have, like, they're legal tickets. And
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
to be able to, you
Yeah.
have to be able to defend them in court.
Yeah.
Because those are the types of court cases that.
Absolutely.
I remember
We need
seeing
to
his
defend.
qualifications, he was qualified,
I
so.
did inquire to both Espanola and the Township of the North Shore, and they are quite satisfied with his work. He does all the bylaw enforcement, property standards, plus animal control. And they are quite satisfied with his work. And he is certified, and,
Is that the first one?
yeah.
I don't know how much he'd be able to enforce parking infractions, and
Well,
Yeah.
Sudbury.
Well, he
Whatever
told me
you
that.
write
Well, if
tickets.
he's down here doing other things.
If you write tickets, if people are delinquent on paying their tickets, then
But he told me that he does do it during the night as well.
During what?
During
The night.
Oh, yeah, oh, yes.
Okay.
I think people just have to realize that bylaw enforcing has a protocol, like everything else, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen overnight.
Oh,
Things
yeah.
are not going to change. It is a work in progress always. So they have to have some patience.
Exactly, but we do need someone to work on that,
Yeah.
to be the bylaw enforcement officer, absolutely.
And what is Nair and Baldwin doing here? Is he doing nothing or?
no idea.
I didn't check into them. I wanted to know where he was servicing and what the comments were on his services in those areas. That was the important part to me. You can have anybody, but you have to know how their service is.
Recommendations.
Just have Jim contact him and
We'll
find out
see.
what the extra cost could be.
Yeah.
Then we can have it at the next council meeting.
If somebody's coming from Sudbury there, they get Nair and Baldwin there, maybe you cut the cost down there because you can do that same thing going through.
That's it for me.
Anybody got anything else? Okay, be it resolved, the time is 6:50 and this meeting will be adjourned to the next regular meeting of the call of the chair. Pat, you move it there?
Yep.
Bendy, a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Carried.